So I did have a lactation consultant come over, and she was just very chill about it. She, like, put the baby kind of down, and he just started, like, screaming, and he turned all red and stuff, and she was just like, yeah, just let him find his way. Like, let him get mad, and he knows what to do. And I was crying because, it was a lot, and I felt like I was failing as a mom. But then he actually kind of almost like worked his way up to my breast. He knew how to find it, and then he latched on. And she was kind of teaching me, like, yeah, it's just an instinct thing.
Welcome to the Breastfeeding Diaries, episode 11. And today we're with my friend Bente, and she has a really interesting story. I wanted to hear it. I know that she's from another country. She has breastfed for, I think you said like 6 years straight. Mm-hmm. And she does have an autoimmune disease that I thought there's so much to your story, and I really wanted to hear it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess just take me back, like, to, growing up in the Netherlands. What was the culture like around breastfeeding? Like, did you see people, like, breastfeeding public, or was it very private? Did you see your mom, aunts, sisters?
I don't remember, like, that there was any kind of big deal about it. So yeah, I do remember sometimes seeing people breastfeed in public, but I never really, like, it never really stood out to me. Like, it was just no big deal. So yeah, I didn't really think about it that much until I was pregnant with my first baby. And then I also kind of was thinking about it, that I learned that it was a little bit different here, that people are more private here. And yeah, that got me worrying, like, oh, how is that going to be when I move to Texas? Like, am I going to be able to breastfeed in public, or, when there's guests at the house? Or also I had an 11-year-old stepson. Well, yeah, he's 18. He's almost 18 now. But yeah, I was worried about that. Like, what is he gonna think, and what are other people gonna think?
But, yeah. I had another guest on who had teenage son and daughter, and it was pretty chill. But I always think about that, like, just having such a big age gap, and it's like, oh, you actually have to have these conversations, because if you just have, like, a baby and a toddler, you don't really have to explain anything. It's just like, oh, mommy's milk or whatever. So yeah, we can dive into that more as your kind of journey went on. But so tell me, what was your first birth like? Was it like in a hospital setting? Was it in the Netherlands, or was it here? Okay.
Yeah, I had 2 children in the Netherlands, and then one over here.
Okay.
I had my first baby in the hospital, and yeah, it was pretty chill. Like, 3 hours after I had him, they were like, all right, bye. And yeah,
they sent you home the same day?
Oh yeah, like, usually about 3 hours later, if everything's just well, they're just like, okay, bye. And then I was kind of like, oh, they're letting me take this baby home and in the car, and they were like, yeah, it's your baby. And I was just kind of like, are you not gonna, like, check on me? Like, am I doing it right? But they were just like,
wow,
bye.
Okay, so what is the hospital system? I mean, I guess that's kind of a clue that it's very different.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I know I've heard that, like, in, like, European countries, there's more, like, midwives and more, not, like, totally unmedicated, but more of, like, maybe the laughing gas or things like that, instead of just, like, straight to, like, oh, you have to have an epidural.
Yeah, I think most people do it, like, unmedicated. I know that's kind of, I know you can also get an epidural. I got one. But yeah, it's just, the focus is more on just a natural birth. And I know that C-section rates here in America are very, very high.
Yeah.
and they're very low over there. It's basically only if in an emergency, or if you've had how do you call that, a high risk pregnancy
Yeah.
or something like that. But yeah, the norm is just a natural birth, and we don't do things like, you can still eat during your labor. With my second
Nice.
baby, I was literally, they served me dinner and I was just taking bites while I was having contractions.
Wow.
Um, and that, all of that was part of why, or that was the main reason why I didn't want to have my third baby that was going to be born here in the hospital, because they just told me all these things like, you have to do this and you can't do that, and I wasn't used to that, so that's why I ended up going with a midwife here.
That's awesome. So, back to your first birth, was it, so I guess it was pretty smooth, and after 3 hours you got to go home. Did you get to have like a golden hour and like skin to skin and latch him and everything?
Yeah, they immediately like put the baby on your chest, and actually they had me kind of like swoop him up, and I wasn't expecting that. So they were like, "Yeah, grab him." And I was like, "Huh?" And they were like, "Yeah, grab him." So I just kind of was like, "Ah, okay, I'm
After you
scared."
pushed him out, like right after?
Yeah, like they kind of caught him, and then they wanted me to reach down and grab him and put him on my chest. But I wasn't prepared for that. So the first time I was kind of like, "Ah, what?"
Oh, wow.
Um,
Because in American births, they take the baby away.
oh yeah, they don't do that. So the baby, like for the first like, I think like 45 minutes or whatever, he was just on my chest. They let the umbilical cord, I don't know, like all the blood, pump all the blood back to the baby. Um, and then um, my husband cut the umbilical cord. And yeah, then they, after a while, they did take him and checked him out and everything. And then they kind of brought him back, and they were like, well, it's kind of time for you to nurse him. And especially with my first one, I just had no clue what, it looked so easy. And so they helped me like kind of latch him, and he immediately started sucking. And I remember it was so much more powerful than I expected, because yeah, I just always seen it and I was like, ah, it looks easy. And then when he started sucking, I was, man, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Just
And
wasn't expecting it.
was he like full term, late full term? Like what, how many weeks was he?
Yeah, he was born with 40 weeks and 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what's the going over your due date like there too? Like, did they push you for
Oh,
anything?
no, no. I wanted him out. So I was kind of almost begging for like an induction. But yeah, no, they don't really do that, and unless there's something really wrong, or after 42 weeks. But they really kind of only do that when it's medically necessary. Um, but also in the Netherlands, you don't have one doctor. It's just like you usually go to a team of OBs, and then when, if you have your baby at the hospital, that's like the nurses there will help you with your birth, not your OB that you've been seeing throughout your pregnancy. So that's kind of, some people don't like that because you don't know who you're going to get. But yeah, for me, that was totally fine. Just, I was just, that's how it goes. And I had never heard anything else. So
Wow. I feel like I could talk about the differences in the birth system there all day, even
yeah,
though we're
there's,
talking about breastfeeding, but I'm still just like, I'm
yeah.
so intrigued by that, just especially since I was someone who like didn't like the hospital system here in the
Hmm.
US. So to hear that there's an alternative out there is really cool. It's just
Yeah.
kind of sucks that our American system, that they're not, it seems like they're not keeping up with the
Yeah.
research and all of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, if you don't know any better, then that's just what you're used to. But for me, coming from somewhere else, here was kind of a shocker. Also, just the antibiotics that they put in the eyes and the vaccines that they give right after birth. Um, those are not things that they do in the Netherlands. So, and also the vitamin K injection, um, all not things they do. So when I was pregnant here, I called the hospital, like the labor and delivery, and I was like, "Hey, is that fine if I don't want to do that?" And they told me that I would have to sign waivers. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." And then they said, "And you have to talk to CPS." And yeah, that was my. I was just like, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, it's
Gosh.
just kind of to make sure, that I don't know, that I know how to take care of my babies or something, that I'm not putting them in any danger." But that I didn't want CPS to even be involved with me. And it might have been just a kind of a threat. I don't know. But I've also heard that they do sometimes just talk to people. And I just didn't want to
Yeah.
have anything to do with that. So that's why I chose to have
Wow.
the baby just in my bedroom.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so let's go keep going back to your first experience. So you go home after 3 hours, and his first latch sounds like it was good.
Mhm.
How did it go after that? Like, what were the first couple weeks like? Having a newborn for the first time and breastfeeding?
Yeah, breastfeeding was actually not that easy with my first one because I was kind of a little panicky that my milk didn't come in right away. And so I started pumping a lot, and then it came in, but um then I was just overproducing, and I actually got mastitis then. And in the beginning, I just had some latch problems, so I did have a lactation consultant come over, and I remember she was just very chill about it. She like put the baby kind of down, and he just started like screaming, and he turned all red and stuff, and she was just like, "Yeah, just let him find his way, like let him get mad, and he knows what to do." And I was crying because it was a lot, and I felt like I was failing as a mom. And but then he actually kind of almost like worked his way up to my breast, and like she put him kind of here, and he knew how to find it. And then he latched on, and she was kind of teaching me like, yeah, it's just an instinct thing. You don't have to, you know, do all that. There's some things that you have to pay attention to, and like his lips. And she was like, "Look, now he's latched on. You can make sure his lips are folded kind of out, you know." But she was just like, "Yeah, just let him get mad. Let him come to you." And they're like little animals. They know how to do it. And
I picture like a little puppy like
yeah, well,
sprawling over.
that's what, and this was an older lady. She was just so chill about everything. And honestly, that made me chill out more and see it more as a natural thing instead of something that had to be so like I had to sit a certain way or I had to do everything a certain way.
Yeah.
She was more teaching me like just listen to your instincts. And yeah. And she even, oh, and then he latched on, and when they're so little, they're, it could be that their nose is kind of a little bit like in your breast. And so I kept like pushing it down, and she was just like, just leave him. He can breathe like through the sides. And he was like, if he turns blue, then you can like do something.
Wow.
Like then you can move him, but
She
he
was
can
so
just,
chill.
yeah, she was just like, yeah, just relax. And
Wow.
yeah, I'll
So
never forget her.
yeah. So after that, did you keep pumping or did you just decide like let's just nurse and put away the pump?
With my first one, I pumped a little bit sometimes, because I was just very stressed about everything. So if I would have one glass of wine, I would like pump and dump. And yeah, I was just trying to, somebody told me that the father had to be able to give his baby a bottle. And so I felt like that's what I had to do. And then I quit doing that with my other babies because I learned that, he could have a bond with them even if he doesn't feed them. And for me, the pumping was just, I I didn't like it. It was stressful. There was always less coming out than when I was actually nursing. And so that made me stress, like, oh, I don't have enough. Just the whole, like, if he would not drink everything, then I would want to keep it, but also sometimes you can't keep it forever. So it was just a lot of stuff around it that made me very stressed out about it. So with my second child, I I pumped very little, just if I would go out for some time or like if I had to.
Yeah.
And then I also learned a way to like drink and feed. Like I would only have a glass of wine at certain times, and so I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to do the whole pumping and dumping thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, with my third child, I've never pumped.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
So, with your first, after that, were there any other low points or times where you were like, "Ah," and maybe not necessarily with breastfeeding, but even just with like sleep or teething or exhaustion, or like, were there other times where you were like, oh, I want to give up?
Yeah, so I was still living in the Netherlands and my husband was living here. So he was able to be there for a month when he was born, or I think it was 3 weeks after he was born because he was born a little bit later. So yeah, he was like 3 weeks and then his dad had to go back and then it was just me. So that was, now that I look back on it, it was a special time, but um, it was also hard because as a first time mom, sometimes you just don't know what to do. And
Were you living with family or just all on your own?
yeah, on my own.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, but I was also, so in the Netherlands, there's a mandatory maternity leave of 16 weeks where you get 100% paid. And so I didn't have to work or anything, so that was really nice. I could just focus on the baby and learning how to be a mom. And yeah, we would get up in the night but then we were able to sleep in. So I just kind of went with his routine and yeah, that wasn't the hard. I did think nursing was very hard in the beginning, and I kept telling myself, like, well, I really need to make it to 6 weeks, and then like 3 months, and then 6 months. And my goal with the first one was just 6 months. And after that, I wanted to start feeding him like solids and everything. But it became easier as I went on. So then I actually went on for 13 months with him.
And then did you get pregnant again or did you wean and have like some space?
Yeah, no, my first two babies weaned themselves both when I was 4 months pregnant with the next one. Because I had three babies in 3 years, and the first two, so I was already pregnant and still nursing, but when I got about to 4 months pregnant, they just didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
They, yeah, I don't know, they kind of were like, nope.
Yeah.
So, but my son was 13 months when he quit, and my daughter was 15 months when she quit.
Yeah, that's cool because I think some people like it's like painful or they feel like they have to force stopping it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just kind of worked out where it was like the baby and the timing was just like okay, and your body was like, all right, let's do two at a time for a little bit, and now just one at a time.
I was a little sad about it because I kind of dreamt about, tandem nursing, like a toddler and a baby, but that never happened. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not something I've dreamed of because I'm just like always been like, I just have so much trouble picturing like it being for two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just feel like it's supposed to be for the baby. And And I've had some guests on who have done that too, and I've always been so impressed with them. Like, that's amazing. But for me,
Yeah.
I'm like, just one at a time
Yeah.
is
Well,
fine with me.
I can't picture it now. I have a friend who has twins. Maybe you can ask her for your podcast. But yeah, so she feeds them at the same time.
Is it
And
Alyssa?
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love Alyssa. Okay, side
Yes.
note.
So you should
That's
ask her. Yeah,
awesome.
she nurses them at the same time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I her story is so exciting. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your story. At this point, like, so you had one, two babies at this point. Did you already have some signs of like health issues for yourself, or did that come later? Like, or had you had it your whole life?
Yeah, I had it before I got pregnant. It started when I was 17, and then it kind of went away. I mean, it was kind of dormant, it never goes away. But then when I got pregnant with my firstborn, I had just lost my hair, about 4 months 4 months prior to that. I was completely bald. That was something that I was struggling with as well, to because I'd always imagined that I was going to be a mom no matter what, but I always imagined that I would look super cute and with hair and a small bump, and then I was bald and I gained way more weight than I ever thought I would.
Gosh.
And so I just felt very honestly, I felt very ugly. And yeah, that was hard. And also just people looking at me, being bald, a lot of people think I have cancer. And yeah, just you could see them sometimes think like, oh, is she pregnant? And is she going through chemo or what, and that was hard. But
And you have alopecia,
hmm
right? Is
yeah.
that like a symptom of another autoimmune disease, or is that what it is?
Yeah, alopecia is the disease, and the hair loss is kind of a symptom. So with alopecia, your body attacks itself, and part of that is that it just attacks my hair follicles, and it makes it fall out.
And did you, at that point, were you kind of looking for, I mean, it started when you were 17. So, like,
Mhm.
had you found any answers yet or any solutions, or were you kind of still in just
Yeah,
survival mode?
yeah. No, I'm still looking for the answers. I'm trying everything. One thing that was kind of funny was that with when I was pregnant with my boys, my hair grew back while I was pregnant, and in about 4 months postpartum, it would all fall out again. But with my daughter, I didn't get any hair, so that was kind of weird.
She's just stealing it all or something.
Yeah, I don't. It's probably has something to do with the hormones, but I
That's very
still
interesting.
haven't figured it out.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you had your second, was it the same hospital, like kind of the same
Mhm.
story, or did you have any complications with the birth or anything?
No, the second one was my best one because I had an epidural, and I just felt like I was high or something. It was just very easy. She came out in just a couple of pushes, and that was the time that I was just eating and laughing. And yeah, that one was at the same hospital. And yeah, just very easy.
And what was the transition like having a toddler and a newborn?
Um, it was fine. But I was a stay-at-home mom, so it was kind of all I was doing. And for the last 6 years, I've focused my life around my children. And um, so that was my main focus. And it was, it wasn't that hard for me. Like, it was pretty crazy. Like, there's always noise and there's always somebody wanting you. But it was all I ever wanted was to become a mom. And so I just kind of went with it, and even adding a third one, um, yeah, wasn't, I don't know. It was just, it went automatically or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got pregnant with your third. Were you still in the Netherlands, and when did you move?
Well, actually, I got pregnant with my daughter when I had already moved here, but then because of COVID and visa stuff, I got stuck in the Netherlands while I was pregnant, and I didn't have a home there, and I went there when I was 4 months pregnant, and I was stuck there for 5 months. So that's why she was born there as well. Um, but yeah, then we actually had help from Congressman Jody Arrington, and he made my visa happen within like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we flew my daughter back here when she was 2.5 weeks old,
Wow.
and yeah, then we stayed here ever since.
And was your older son with you when you went back? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So you were never like separated from him.
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
Gotcha.
no. No, it was me and him alone in the Netherlands for quite a while. Because first when he was a baby, and then when he was a toddler again, we were living there. So
Wow.
yeah, he spent the most time there.
So then at that point you were in San Angelo, right? Or were you here in Abilene?
That was in Abilene, yeah.
Okay.
San Angelo, I was only there for an exchange
Oh,
program.
okay. Yeah.
Was it 11 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're here in Abilene
Hmm.
and you decide to like you were saying, you called the hospital and
Yeah.
everything and you were like, no.
Yeah. Never mind.
So which midwife did you pick? Like a birth center or a home birth?
Yeah, a midwife. Her name was Sabrina Elliott. So yeah, she was my midwife, and my best friend was a NICU nurse before she became a stay-at-home mom, and she actually started working for Sabrina sometimes like as her birth assistant, like the nurse that logs everything. And so I requested that, she was going to be the one there. So when I had my son, it was Sabrina was there, and then my best friend was working there too. So she was there too.
And so what was that like doing it at home? You can't have the epidural this time.
Yeah.
Was it scary?
Um, it was the most painful birth I'd ever had. He was 9 pounds, 5 ounces, and yeah, no medication. I did have him in the bath, so that was nice. And what I really liked was that nobody told me to do anything. Like Sabrina, the midwife, she didn't even tell me when to push. She just, I was kind of hanging over the edge, and then all of a sudden, I turned around and I was like, he's coming, and I pushed like 2 or 3 times, and he was out. And later she told me that by the sounds I was making, she knew he was coming. But it was nice that nobody told me, like, you have to wait or you have to push, or it was very natural. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had my first like vaginal birth because I had a VBAC, but it was just like on hands and knees on the floor at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
It's my only frame of reference. Like I've gotten a C-section. Like I don't really know what it's like to have an epidural, so I don't really know. And like I don't know, it feels like it wasn't as painful as people say, but I think my brain may have blocked a lot of it out. So
Yeah.
that could be why.
Yeah.
Because I
Maybe.
don't have anything to compare it to. And also, my brain was just like so, so much adrenaline and so much excitement that I was just like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Well, you really wanted it. I remember that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so then breastfeeding went smoothly again.
Yeah, that was my third one, and so that one was just very easy. Like I said, I never pumped with him. I'm still breastfeeding him actually, and I really
He's two,
wanted.
right?
Yeah, he's actually 3 months shy from turning three. I really wanted to make it to 2 years old, and I did. And then I just kind of kept going, and now I think I'm close to the end, but I don't really know when that is. Because by now so when he was 2, I was nursing him twice a day. And then that kind of went to like only once a day. Around the time he was 2.5, it was only once a day. And after that, now it's like once a day, or sometimes he skips like 2 or 3 days. And sometimes he'll ask me for it more, but then I tell him, like, no, you already had it today. Like, I do want to max him at once a day. Not because I'm worried about, like, I think it's very healthy for him. He's never sick, but more for myself. Like, I just kind of don't want to be nursing him all day anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it like just like before a nap, like a comfort thing, or do you kind of follow like a schedule?
No, I don't offer it to him just when he asks. And sometimes he'll come to my bed like early in the morning and ask for it. And sometimes it's at night, and sometimes he doesn't. So, yeah.
I'm just kind of rolling with him.
Yeah.
What like attitude or mindset do you think is helpful once you've gotten that far along? I mean, I kind of like the mindset of like kind of rolling with it. But I also like the, hey, like we're gonna have to stop eventually. Like you're still like the parent and you're still kind of guiding him towards his next phase,
Yeah.
but letting him kind of do it himself, but also like you're guiding him. Like what's your mentality?
Well, what was helpful for me was like when he was younger, I would do a schedule. I I didn't want to be the mom that would always just nurse, or if they got upset, then I would nurse. Like I wouldn't do that because I felt like I could not keep going on for that long if I were to do that. Like it would drain me. So that's why I always kept a schedule. And then and the more he started eating and the older he got, the less I would nurse him. Um, and I would also just tell him, like, no, like, we do nursing. Like, when we did it more, we would do it in the morning for nap time at night. Um, and then I did start telling him, like, hey, in like 2 weeks or something, we're not gonna nurse at nap time anymore. It's only gonna be morning and evening. And I felt like that was helpful for me because that way it wasn't putting such a strain on me, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of I personally am a fan of that because I think a lot of people get stuck in like, okay, now I'm ready to wean and I'm taking it away from my
Yeah.
kid, and now it suddenly becomes like drama or a battle because this is something your kid has relied on, and for whatever reason you have to stop. And so then it becomes like this whole thing, like when
Yeah.
people have to take with pacifier, and it's like you're also a human, and so I think I really like that, just kind of being like, hey, I'm guiding you through this, and it is like my body, but also I'm like doing this for
Yeah.
you, and I love you, and I'm nurturing you at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah. That was important to me, that it was still going to be my body and my choice. Um, because, kids can take a lot of you, and they will take everything if you let them. And that was important for me to teach him, like, hey, this is my body. Like, I know, like, I'm nursing you, I'm helping you, grow up, and I'm feeding you this way, but you don't, like, as he got older,
Yeah.
I wanted him to learn, like, he didn't have the right to always just drain me, literally.
No, it's just even like demanding, like even if they're asking for like a snack or a bottle or a cup, it's like, say, may I please have it? And if it's not time for a snack, like you might have to hear no
Yeah.
and just which I think is so hard as a toddler mom. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not snack time.
Yeah.
So same with milk. Like, it's not milky time.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know what? Last week we were in SeaWorld and he was just half an inch too short to go in a ride. And so they were like, no, he's too little. And so he started crying and he wanted to go in and all his siblings went in and I felt so bad for him because he was just half an inch short. And it wasn't like a roller coaster. It was like a swing, you know, that they go around. And so I told him, I was like, okay, do you want a treat? Do you want mama to get you a treat? Because I was trying to make him feel better. And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, what do you want? He goes, milk. And I thought he was going to say like ice cream, but the milk was a treat for him. I thought that was so cute. And
aw.
also, now that he's older, he actually says, thank you, mama, after I nurse him.
Aw.
And he will ask he will ask me sometimes, can I have milk from your breast? Because I also give him milk out of the fridge. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, do you want some milk? And then he's like, out of the fridge or from your breast? So that's kind of
Oh.
funny when you're nursing an older child. You can almost have conversations about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really sweet. I really like that because I mean, I'm still nursing he's only 13 months.
Mhm.
So we're still like not fully into toddlerhood yet. But that's one thing that I had a fear of was just like you said, just feeling like you're not like they're in control and they're demanding. And so I really love that kind of like teaching them those lessons and like, let's say, please and thank you along the way
Mhm.
while still getting all the benefits, the comfort, the nutrients
Mhm.
of breastfeeding
Yeah.
because the nutrients don't stop after 12 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well, and that's what I said. Like, he's never sick.
that's amazing.
I can't remember a time that he's been sick. So, yeah, that's really nice. But do you have a goal for
I don't
to
have a goal
breastfeed?
anymore
Mm-hmm.
because my first was preemie and we
Mm-hmm.
made it to 14 and a half months, so almost
Mm-hmm.
15 months. And so I thought that would be a goal, but I also thought because he was premature, I didn't want to like limit like a full term baby because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a full term baby might just be done at 12
Mm-hmm.
months. And so with my second, I've been like, well, he might just want to be done, but since he doesn't seem to want to be done, I'm like, I guess we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And then I guess sort of the goal is to go past 15 months.
Yeah.
With my first, I was so ready to get pregnant again, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get pregnant again until I fully weaned.
Mm.
But this time, like, I want to have that space. And so I'm kind of like, we can just keep going. I don't know if we'll go all the way to two because we've already, like, gone down so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just twice a day. I'm not sure how much longer that would last.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I want him to have all those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing a podcast. So I feel like, I know, like, my husband was joking with me. He's like, so how are you, like, what are you going to do with the podcast when you're not breastfeeding anymore? I was like, I'm going to keep, I guess I have to keep
Yeah.
going. No, I'm just definitely going to keep doing the podcast, but it's just really funny, like being in that season.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about weaning with my guests too, because we can have a lot of struggles in the beginning and then sometimes weaning easy, sometimes it's not. And just being able to share with other moms that like you may have had a tough start, but once, like you said with your first, once you got to 6 months, it was like, this is easier
Yeah.
now. And you can just go all the way or go all the way to your goal if you get past some of those initial
Yeah.
humps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
were there any other like strains with your autoimmune like issues where you like question your milk or question like your fatigue or anything like that that was like trying to balance nurturing a baby while also having your own health concerns?
No, I mean, for me, I didn't have any problems with it. The only thing that I wonder, because I've been nursing for so long now, is I wonder if my autoimmune disease would get better once I stop nursing. Um, but that was never a reason for me to quit. Like, it was too important to give my children that, like the healthiest gut and all that stuff. But yeah, I do sometimes wonder if it just drained my, my minerals and all that from my body. So I guess we'll see when I do stop.
Yeah, yeah, you're on a journey, I feel like,
Yeah.
with health.
One thing though that I was going to tell you that I learned with my third child. So I really wanted to nurse him until he was 2, and around 13 or 14 months, he just stopped. And I was really sad about it because the other one stopped around that time, and I really wanted to make it to 2, but he just would not drink anymore. And I called a lactation consultant here in Abilene, and she gave me some tips, and I tried all of it, but it didn't work. But she was telling me about this thing called a nursing strike, and I had never heard of it. But yeah, she said sometimes they just kind of go on strike, but if you keep doing these things, like they might just start nursing again. And so after 11 days, that was the day I gave up because it was so stressful for me to try to keep doing all these things, and he just didn't want it. And
Were you pumping at all, or did he nurse a little bit to,
no,
like, how did your supply?
um, oh, I was pumping to try to keep the supply up. That there was barely anything coming out, like an ounce maybe. And but the lactation consultant said that that was still quite a bit for children, like toddlers that age, which I also didn't know because the times that I did pump, I would always give my kids 4 ounces. So I thought you had to have at least 4 ounces. But she told me like with older kids, there's not that much coming out, so an ounce is pretty good. But I just didn't like the pumping, and he would not take it from the bottle either. He just didn't want it. I would try to snuggle with him or, you know, read stories while I didn't have a shirt on and stuff to kind of distract him and not be like, "Oh, you have to drink now." But nothing worked, and after 11 days, I gave up, and I took him in the shower one more time, like to just kind of snuggle with him. And then that day that I gave up, he decided he wanted to drink again, and he's been drinking ever since.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I've heard of nursing strikes maybe a little bit younger age because I think at that point it'd be like, okay, let's just stop.
Yeah.
And so that's so amazing though that you didn't give up. Even at that point, because I feel like I would have just been like, we're past 12 months. We can just move
Yeah.
on to whole milk or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and he was already my children were already drinking milk, but they always continue to drink with me as well. So that's why my youngest one now he either wants milk from the fridge or from
Wow.
my breast.
That's so amazing though that you just kept going and then he was like, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we didn't stop. I guess that was almost 1.5 year ago.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
I feel like I remember maybe you posted about that or something where it was
Hmm.
like, okay, I think this is the end.
Yeah.
And then just now when you were telling me you weren't done, I was like, oh, there had to be a twist.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
plot twist.
Yeah, I wasn't
So,
expecting it, but I was also very thankful that Abilene has the resources,
yeah.
and this was just a free lactation consultant, and she just we just called a couple times.
Yeah.
So that was really cool that they have that.
I feel like a lot of moms that I've seen don't make that call. They don't call the lactation consultant. They just have whatever voices they're hearing in their head or their own voice saying like, let's just give up. And then they don't reach out for help.
Yeah. Well, and I
And
wonder if maybe they don't know that there is help.
yeah. Yeah, or they just maybe already kind of have their mind set on stopping, and so baby biting or
Oh,
not
yeah.
being enough milk when they pump is now kind of, I don't want to say an excuse, but just like okay, well, I guess I'll just be done now. And the thing that I hear a lot from my guests is that they're like, no, it's not time to be done.
Yeah.
They're like, I have determination. I want to finish this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's something I'm struggling with now with weaning, because I know when I stop, I'll never nurse another baby again. So that's a hard thing to say goodbye to.
yeah. Do you have any other like advice for either in the early season or in the weaning season for moms that are struggling or?
I would definitely say in the early season, just ask for help with either from a lactation consultant or women that have more experience with it. Because I know in the beginning it's always hard, and it's even a little painful in the beginning, or it can be, and but it will always be that way.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for being on the show. I'm so glad I got to hear your story fully, and I think it's so encouraging. And I hope other moms will be inspired by your tenacity and your determination to keep going even when it got hard. So thank you so much.
Thank you.